Hi folks, congratulations, you've made it to the end of another working week. Give yourselves a huge pat on the back. Going forwards, this weekend we will have the Lost Legions video for you, because YouTube is taking forever to upload stuff, I don't know why. So I didn't do that last night because I had to go out and do other things, so I'll be uploading it over the weekend, probably overnight, tonight or something. And then on Sunday we'll be doing the showcase, the hobby showcase video. And, of course, if you want to help me out here on the channel, please head on over to the Goods Merchant. I've just been having a look at this because I'm seriously tempted on that payday to go get me one of these. If you want to be an elite Dungeon Master, head on over to the Goods Merchant, which is just up here, over on Etsy. They are doing a really cool thing for me in that if you use the promo code Northern Exile down below, you can get 10% off of your order, and I get a certain amount of money from that sale as well that goes towards helping with the channel. So, if you want to fulfill a need, then, you know, help me out. If you want to be an elite Dungeon Master and get yourself one of these, I'm also hankering for one of these. I did see a Grey Knight one of these, like it's a dice shaker, and at the bottom it has like these cool slogans in the bottom as well. I just love them, man. I really want to like dunk on people with rolling sixes and other stuff like this. But knowing me, I'll get one, then I'll be rolling all ones. But hey, if you want to support me, head on over and support them, because they're doing a really cool thing for the channel. So thank you very much to them. So, let's get on with some hobby nightmares, shall we? Before I melt in this heat wave. This was my fault. I did say it was really cold the other day, and then all of a sudden, bang, heat wave. So, Wild Alaskan is back. And he says, to Her Majesty's most honoured and revered Lord Exile Esquire. Okay, these are getting more ridiculous as we go, but, you know, it's fine, it's fine. As tournaments and tournament players have been featured in a couple of your most recent videos, I thought I'd share the nightmare story that caused me to quit playing Magic the Gathering. Working at the friendly local game store, you tend to learn to play a variety of games that are popular in the area. Such was the case with me and Magic, and I soon ended up making friends with some of the regulars. They would stop for casual fun games, as well as the store tournaments on the weekends. I ended up becoming roommates with a couple of them, and we would have the entire group over to the house for fun games every week. That sounds really cool. Sadly, life happened, as it always does, and one by one all my friends moved away. With no friends left to play with, all that remained was the weekly tournaments, which brought out some of the worst players. Some examples: one guy would constantly whinge on social media that we never held a tournament for the format that he wanted to play, but when we did, nobody would show up, including that guy. Another guy tried to start a social media campaign to get our store shut down because we didn't run tournaments the way he thought they should be done, even though we were following the guidelines set by Wizards of the Coast. Then there was a third guy who would spend all of his free time studying the latest meta, show up 2 to 3 hours before the tournament so he could talk everybody's ear off about the minutiae of deck building. While his passion for the hobby was admirable, he would absolutely destroy anyone he played against and won nearly every tournament. All these things, along with some questionable corporate decisions by Wizards of the Coast, soured me on the game. But there was one final incident that made me throw in the towel completely. Every Friday night, our store would do a booster draft. For those who don't play Magic, a booster draft is where everybody sits around a table, opens a booster pack of random cards, picks one card out of the pack, and passes it to the person next to them. After 3 packs of this, everybody builds a deck out of what they've picked, and then they play off against each other. Everybody gets to keep the deck they built, and the tournament players get extra booster packs as prizes. Oh, awesome. Our store typically gave 3 packs to first place, 2 packs to second, and 1 pack to third. Alright? That's something that I'd like to do for Games Workshop. It is give shit away like that, but they would never, ever, ever get behind anything like that. It would just never happen. There's no way, as a stockist of GW products, if they found that you were giving them away, you'd be in serious doo-doo, like straight away. One fine Friday evening, I decided to stick around after my shift and participate in a draft. I was doing pretty well, which was unusual for me, and I managed to win my first 2 rounds. My third round consisted of some very close games. He won the first game, I won the second, and he won the third. It was very exciting and fun. We shook hands, I congratulated him on his win, and we were handed our prize packs. Okay, and that's where everything went wrong. One of my packs had a rare card that was very good and worth a lot of money. All his 3-packs contained rares that were not particularly good and not worth much money. He threw a tantrum. This grown man literally threw his cards down on the table, kicked his chair over, and started shouting about how it wasn't fair. I honestly don't recall much of what he said because I immediately packed my things and left. He must have calmed down quickly because he didn't get kicked out, and showed up the following week for another draft. But I never played in another tournament again. I sold off most of my collection, keeping only a few of my favourite decks just in case I ever got back into the game. As always, thanks for doing what you do. P.S. My friendly local game store closed, and after a couple of years, a new one has opened. The guy who had tried to get us shut down got permabanned from the new store after he showed up to a tournament drunk and made some racial slurs at another patron and the store owner. Well, yeah, surprises, surprises, eh? Yeah, do you know when people have a go at, like, 40k tournaments and say shit like that? I'm well aware that this happens across nerddom. Like, it's not something that's sequestered only to 40k. It's just, this is mainly a Warhammer channel, so, you know, we're going to be going over that a lot more than we are going over things like, you know, D&D or Magic the Gathering or Malifaux or whatever. At the same time, I do think it is hobby-wide. The dickheadedness, the brutishness of trying to win at all costs, and, you know, these are essentially people with the brains of children who are trying to make something out of a hobby, and when it doesn't go their way, sometimes they tend to react badly. So for every really good game you have, you may have a bad game. Now, I'm not saying that the whole hobby is like that. I love this hobby. I think that we've got far more good people in it than bad. But it is still good to hear when, you know, you're not the only one. So if you've gone through shit like this, just be aware, you're not the only one. We've all done it. And it's kind of, I look at it as a rite of passage through the hobby, to be honest with you. To have bad games like this and learn how to cope with them and move away. Saga Prime says, "Hey Exile, long-time listener, first-time messenger. As I was listening to today's video, when you mentioned the summer RPGs, I had an idea. I'm assuming you're familiar with the concept of the Westmarch game, yes? What if you did that, but for Dark Heresy, or Rogue Trader? My off-the-bat idea would be that all players would be prisoners in an Imperial prison complex, and the Inquisition would randomly select us and send us out on missions. I say randomly because, you know, it'd work like a Westmarch server. It'd even be Xenos friendly, as they could be working towards freedom or becoming a sanctioned Xeno and citizen." Okay. Good idea. It actually works quite well with the Astral Blades lore, because the Gallows, which is the Astral Blades Fortress Monastery, is actually a prison. Because they're working for the Order Malleus now. Which basically keeps the Dark Angels from coming to annihilate them, essentially. Because, yeah, there's a whole thing there, like the Dark Angels left the Astral Blades chapter to die, because they were pursuing a Fallen. And so the Astral Blades said, okay, well, we're going to push your shit in, you're now Fallen. And so they start picking off, Dark Angel successor chapters and just annihilating them, you know, just going after them and just tearing them down. And so obviously, the Ordo Malleus steps in and says, right, okay, yeah, we're taking control of these. You are now going to be our jailers. You're going to be the jailers of this world. We're taking control of your home world. That's it, you know. And that might work for the campaign. We might be quite cool to have you all in cells, like with the Astral Blades. They're looking after you and they're being like, okay, you guys are not like, you're like the least security threat prisoners. So you're just like literally guys who have been on a world somewhere that was tainted by demons, and instead of being, you know, just murdered right out, you have some really good information. So they pull you aside and say, okay, let's throw you into, you know, some inquisitorial bands and see how you do, sort of a thing. So I might run with that. We'll see. At the moment, we're looking at doing Vampire the Masquerade and one other. And here we go, though. If you are up for DMing a game, please let me know, because neither of the two games that are being played over the summer I'm going to be running. I want to be playing in both of them. So, if you feel like running a game, or you have run a game before, let me know, either in the comments, or be easy if you do it in the Discord, to be honest with you. Let me know and come along and we'll talk and go over some scheduling stuff like that. I wouldn't mind. We actually have a really good account with Composite Games, so I wouldn't mind paying you in models, but that's something that can be discussed later in the time. Okay, so Duke Leto says, greetings again, hobby nightmare enthusiasts and Mr. Exile. Thank you very much. Thanks, Nor, for reading my previous submission, and cheers for all that you do. It's clear that you are genuinely care about the people of this hobby, and my hope is that you continue to grow and grow your channel. Thank you very much, man. My nightmare story is one in which a role-playing game managed to prevent my family from strangling each other on a road trip, and later has kept us closely in touch. Okay, a nice story for once. 1 second. There we go. At 17 years old, I was on a very long car ride with my dad and brother driving across the flyover state to Kansas, going from Denver to St. Louis, Missouri. After a pit stop, I directed my dad how to get back onto the highway. However, I didn't realise we were at an interchange, and I accidentally put us on a course headed north rather than east. Keep in mind, this was before GPS was a thing. After about 2 hours, we finally realised we were headed the wrong way. It was dark out and we were tired. The tension in the car was very high. We all began blaming each other, and the fun road trip quickly turned sour. Knowing we had a lot of time on our hands to get back on track, I asked if the two of them would be interested in playing an ad hoc role-playing game. I loved AD&D 2nd edition when I was younger, but we didn't have any materials with us. I instead decided to be the DM and use no rules. And here's the thing, just jumping away from the story, I've done this before as well. I was once sitting with a load of friends in London, and we were sitting around having drinks before we went on a night out. We were talking, it was going pretty well, and I said, hey, do you guys feel like running a role-playing game? And they were all nerds. They were like, oh my god, I've always wanted to try that, but I don't know any of the rules. And I said, never mind, you don't need any rules. I'm going to give you all a piece of paper, and you're going to write down 3 attributes that you think that you, yourself, have that might be pretty cool in the survival situation. And if you use any of those attributes, I'll give you more dice to use, essentially. Do you know what I mean? In terms of D6. And we played like that. They played themselves in this very moment, but I wasn't there, right? So in the story, I'm not there. They played themselves in a zombie apocalypse. So zombie apocalypse breaks out in London. And we were just going to see what they would do. If it was happening right now, and they came on BBC News and said, listen, this shit hit the fan. This is all going down, what do we do? And we role-played for like 4 or 5 hours. We were meant to be there for 2 hours. We were there for 4 or 5 hours. We ended up leaving at about 9:30 at night to go on start our night out, which is not too bad. But at the same time, they were buzzing and they really wanted to do it again. So I ended up making an actual role-playing campaign, but like it was in an ancient Greek setting after this, and they really enjoyed that one as well. But this went on it was a one-shot, and we did it for 4 or 5 hours with like, literally no rules. You don't need rules to make a good role-playing game. You don't. You need a good storyteller, and that's it. You need a good storyteller who wants to let other people tell their own stories. That's all you need. That's why I think the DM's the most important person at any table. They just are. Anyway, Duke Leto continues. I would simply improvise a story and they would have to make decisions. For a small element of chance, I added a double coin flip for random outcomes, i.e. 2 heads, 2 tails, 1 head plus 1 tails, you get the point, alright? Again, you don't even need dice, there you go. You can do it with bloody coins. Needless to say, we had a blast playing the adventure. It was simply a story about 2 brothers who enter a haunted house like Stranger Things. Given that it was dark out and we were quasi-lost in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, it made the adventure all the more powerful. The 2-hour return trip flew by, and we continued playing them for the rest of the trip. The stupid road trip is now one of the fondest memories I have with my brother and dad. Nowadays, we live far apart, so we do role-playing via Google Docs. As the DM, I write the narrative in the Google Doc, complete with stock images of monsters and scanned maps. My brother and dad respond at their own leisure with a short paragraph. It's like the old play-by-mail method. We even used the last digit of Bitcoin closing prices as a random D10 generator for impartial random dice rolling. I realise there is online role-playing like D&D Beyond, but we have wildly different schedules, and there is something about writing your responses that really makes the experience very interesting and more realistic. Goofy voices, no goofy voices, no jokes being dropped every 2 minutes. Just people you care about creating a badass story from the ground up. Yeah, that is a thing. That is a thing with a server. I wouldn't mind doing a Westmarch server type thing for the channel, but you know, I would have to have very tight reign over it, because the minute I let anyone in, but it's the same in any community. The minute I let anyone run with anything, it starts going off the rails, and we're going to get arguments and things. So I would have to do it where I've actually got time to sit down and adjudicate it, because I would want to be like the puppet master sort of a thing. But yeah, pretty cool. I love it. He says, anyway, hope you're doing well, and wonder if you'd have any other similar gaming experiences that are gems in your memory banks. Well, I've already shared one, so there you go. But yeah, I would be up for doing like a West Marchy kind of thing. If anybody wants to do a text-only based RPG, I could definitely do that if it's more casual. But the two RPGs we're going to run over the summer, maybe one, maybe two, are definitely going to be actual role-playing games rather than, as in with dice and stuff, rather than doing it on our West March type server. But hey, it's something I would do. If people wanted to do it, let me know. I'm all about pleasing people. Sculio says, hey, Mr. Exile of the North. Today I have an unpopular opinion for you. Okay, my unpopular opinion is more controversial than unpopular, but some might call it an unpopular opinion. My opinion is that the way GW shows off orcs, paints them, and portrays them isn't what a 40k orc is to me. What I mean by that is, GW will make orcs a group of lads in bright colours pissing around on the battlefield, but I feel like they would show that they should show the brutal side of them, not the look at me, I'm fast. So if you've seen the Kill Team Octarius traitor cinematic, the orcs that are absolutely brutal and have horrifyingly low care for deaths of others and enjoy crushing people and being covered in blood, not just enjoying hitting people with hammers. I'm finding it hard to explain, but if you look at this, you'll see what I mean. He sent me a video that I can't show. Like in general, I don't get why they show that side of the orcs as much as they should. Why they don't show. Not sure. It's not a very well written message, but it's okay. I'm not saying GW should change the orcs, though, as it's just an opinion, and I see why people like the overall aesthetic of them, which is why I'm not going to sit here on my arse and bitch about it. What I'm going to do is accept that this is how it is, and orcs, and instead start my own orc army, but converting and painting my models the way I think they should be. Exactly. That is the thing that you should do. And that's the thing that Games Workshop want you to do, you know? Like, they would want you to be out there doing your own thing and doing your own models. It's completely fine. I have begun doing this to my AdMech, making the metal dirty and unclean, as that's how they should be, as you said. They don't give a shit about getting dirty. I really wish more hobbyists would do what I'm doing. And 1, stop bitching. 2, fix the army yourself. Whether that is changing the lore, changing the models, converting, or whatever. Hope you enjoyed reading this, and I hope you're not reading this in the 3 minutes of your video, as I don't want you to get in trouble for the swearing this early. No, I didn't. I put it near the end. I hope you have a good one, and I'll show you how the orcs turn out. Yeah, please do. Yeah, I mean, what GW do, though, is that they lean into the silliness of the orcs. Whatever is meme-worthy, and if... Here's the thing. Here's why people don't like the Space Marines. One of the main reasons why people don't like Space Marines is because they're one of the only factions that GW takes seriously all the time. You know, they're not a faction that can get away with being silly. Whereas with orcs and other people, the more meme-ified a Xenos army is, for instance, that's what GW will lean into, because it sells. It just gets more eyeballs in the product, and it sells. Just is what it is. Which sucks. I also feel that you should have a more brutal side to the orcs. You should have a more evil, you know, not cartoonishly evil, but absolutely evil side to the Dark Eldar, right? They should be going in there murdering children and shit, right? They should be doing that sort of stuff. They don't care, right? You shouldn't sugarcoat these things. But, you know, being silly sells, especially when you're not doing it in terms of the Imperial Guard or the Space Marines or Sisters of Battle, you know? Any human faction is not silly, for the most part. They're all played very close to the chest, played very straight and narrow, you know. Whereas in many Xenos armies, it's the opposite. You know, in Tyranids and Orcs and Necrons, and yeah, they get very memey. They get very, very memey very quickly. And that's because they're trying to find their own identity, and they're not human. So as soon as a GW identify that you're latching onto something with the Xenos faction, they'll lean into it, because they think, okay, we've got them now. That they like this part of this Xenos faction. They can't identify with them because they're not human, so let's make them identify with their silly lore and see how that works out. So, but I agree with you. It would be very nice to see more naturally evil endeavours or good endeavours going on in some of the Xenos going forwards. Greg M says, he says, feel free to use my name, okay? I'm glad you said that after your name. I mean, you know. Hey Exile, well, I wanted advice on two things. The first is that I'm a freelance teacher here in Canada, earning a decent crust teaching creative writing. Oh, congratulations. I teach mainly kids in their teens, and I've come across one or two who believe they are transgender. These kids are like 13 or 14. Ooh, okay. Now, I firmly believe that you cannot make such wide-ranging decisions about yourself until you are at least 18. If it's not legal for you to have sex, then it shouldn't be legal for you to change your sex until you are of a legal age to make that decision. Our country, however, has no such laws protecting children. I am fairly sure these kids are not really aware of the repercussions of what they are attempting, and one actually has access to hormones that could change their body's inner chemistry forever. I'm kind of disgusted. Have you come across this in education? Is there anything I could possibly do? I live in a very left-leaning country and area, and I feel like bringing this up to my higher-ups will end in my dismissal. Okay. There is a second part to this, which is more hobby-based, so I'll go over this part first, then I'll go into the more hobby-based question. In terms of what you can do, let me just have a drink first. I may as well go over my own opinion before I give my answer. Anybody peddling hormones to children is a groomer. That's it. There is no excuse. Anybody peddling hormones to people under the age of 18 is a groomer and a borderline sex offender. Leave kids alone. Let kids be kids. That's it. That's all I've got to say on that, right? I work with kids all the time. I see how stupid they are. Kids are morons. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. Doesn't matter. Kids are morons. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know who they are. Yes, their parents do know what's best for them. Butt the fuck out and let people be parents. Thank you. Right? I'm a teacher. It's not my place to tell kids what they should and shouldn't be doing. It's not my place to tell kids, you know, to take hormones, right? If a parent is doing that, okay, the only thing you can do as a teacher, again, number one, be very careful, because as I just said, it's not your place. They're the parents, okay? But if you get a hint, and I did when I was in America, I got a hint from one kid that they were being told that they were trans against their will. They were very much not trans whatsoever. This kid's name was Angel, and he was a really nice guy. And he's being told that he was a girl, basically, that he was a female because he had quite a high voice, and you know he liked wearing lipstick sometimes. He was a bit of a, you know, he was gay. He was, you know, he'd come out and say, look, I think I'm gay, but he had the mental acuity to say, I'm not 18 yet, so I don't know, but I think I'm gay. That's fine, not a problem with that. You do you, my friend, right? But at the same time, that doesn't mean he's transgender, right? And he's being told by his parents and people, adults that he trusts, that no, you're transgender. Like you're definitely like you're. I swear you're a girl, Angel. You're definitely a girl, and you know, you should feel fine to wear like dresses and stuff. It's fine. And he's like, I don't really I like my jeans, thanks. You know, it's like, I may like dick, but that doesn't mean I want to be a woman. You know, it's fine. Don't clip that. Go fuck yourself. But at the same time, this kid was very, very confused and started to question whether they were actually trans or not. Maybe everybody else has a point. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong about my own body. Bullshit. You know your own body. You know what you want. You know what you like. You just told me you know what you like because you told me you're probably gay. So, if you're now telling me you're probably not a woman, then I'm going to take you at face value. You're probably not a woman, my friend. Stay away from hormones. You're not 18. It should be fucking illegal for people to be giving you shit like that. And unfortunately, in Canada and in most American states, it's not illegal. Yeah. That. It's not illegal. You can give these kids hormones. Right? You can literally go, yeah, you can DIY hormones. It's fine. Right? These things that cause irreparable body damage going forwards, you can give them to kids. Now, if I seem like I'm very passionate about it, it's because I am. I'm an educator. I work with kids. I see them all the time. I deal with problems both at home and at school that range from anything from, you know, physical abuse to sexual abuse to mental abuse to drug abuse to pregnancies to, you know, all sorts of things. And yes, the LGBT side of it comes in a hell of a lot as well. And I firmly believe that if you're the kind of person who thinks it's okay to give hormones to a kid who's underage, you're a groomer, my friend, and you need therapy. Because I wouldn't trust you around my kids. I wouldn't trust you around my daughter. Right? If you're okay giving me hormones to a kid, I wouldn't trust you around my daughter. Sorry. Just is what it is. Butt the fuck out. Let these kids grow up, please. Please let them have a childhood. Let them make mistakes. Let them fall over. Let them eat mud. Right? Let them do disgusting things that they think when they're adults to go, oh God, why did I do that? Right? Let them do that shit. But do not fill their head. These are forming brains. These are not brains that are done yet, right? Do not interfere with the process of this kid growing up. They will find their feet eventually. Just support them in what they're thinking, right? If they're thinking they're trans, say, okay, don't judge them. Just say, hey, okay, well, let's talk about that then. You know, why do you think you're trans? Are you actually trans, or are you having a bit of body dysmorphia? Are you thinking, you know what I mean? Because you never know. This could be something else. It could be a symptom of something else. Because you know, very few people are trans. That's what they don't tell you. Very, very few people are trans. It's not a common thing, right? I have trans friends. Nah, I say trans friends too. You know what I mean? Like, so not a lot, but like, you know what I mean? And they're like, yeah, I have one trans friend. And these are people who are involved in the actual community. Like, yeah, they're like, I have one trans friend who's actually trans. The rest of them, a lot of them call them posers, a lot of them call confused people, you know? A lot of them call simple cross-dressers. That's not trans, right? And they are very rare. So if your kid's coming to you and saying that they're trans, you need to make sure that this isn't some fad that they've picked up from their friends or from social media or from any of these weird fucking groomers that are on Twitch right now who seem to want to... Which is part of the reason why I will never be on Twitch. Right? People ask me all the time, why aren't you on Twitch? I'm not on Twitch because people like that are on Twitch. You know? I'm just not interested. I'm just not interested in streaming over there. It's I don't care how much Prime stuff you get. I don't care how much free money that you get from being... I don't care. I don't want to be... As long as that shit is over there, I don't want to be there. I don't want my channel associated with the Purple Snake Company. Thank you very much. Right? It's over there. I just don't like it. I do not like it, and it rubs me right up the wrong way. And yeah, go fuck yourself if you disagree with me. It's one of the only things where I will literally, if you disagree with me, I'll literally be like, yeah, okay, go fuck yourself. Out. Go. Don't want you here. Don't want you talking to me. This isn't an opinion. This is a kid's right to grow up and just grow up being a kid. So go fuck yourself if you don't think they deserve it because you've got your own. You know, a lot of these people have grown up. This soapbox is good. I like standing on this. These are people who've grown up and they've made choices to be trans, right? And I mean what I'm saying when I say that, right? A lot of these people aren't actually trans. They've made a decision to be trans. It's like a lifestyle, right? So they get up and they start thinking, well, I did this, so I've now got buyer's remorse, so I need to make sure that the kids following me are also just as fucked up as I am, right? No, go and get therapy, right? Because you never know. If you go to therapy, they could end up saying, hey, actually, I think you are trans. You never know, right? I could be wrong. But a lot of these people aren't, right? It's attention. And it's damaging to kids. So go fuck yourself. Even if you are actually trans, and you actually think that kids should be allowed to make the choices that you made, that you were irresponsible enough to make before you were 18, go fuck yourself. They deserve to be kids at least until they're 18. And I'm telling you now, you know, not under my roof. Like, if I till my kid is 18, they're a boy or a girl. That's it. You're a boy or and you are who you were born as biologically until you're 18. When you're 18, do what you want. Dress however you want. If a lad wants to go to school in a dress, fine. You know what? Fine. But you're not changing anything about your body till you're 18. Right? I'm not being blamed for this, right? I'm not being blamed. I'm telling you now, till you're 18, it's a no. You're not doing anything to your body while you're living under my roof. Sorry, like, just is what it is. Anyway, so, Greg, in terms of what you should do, my friend, if this is their parent saying this stuff, there's not much you can do because they are the parents. I would make sure that you talk to these kids, and you make sure that there is, if you have a colleague that you trust, like I did, my cooperating teacher was a doctor, and he was an awesome guy, and I was able to take him into meetings with kids and actually ask them what the deal was, and we got to the bottom of it pretty quickly. If you've got a colleague that will do that with you, and go ahead and do it. If you want to do it yourself, you are a teacher at the end of the day, you're there to look after the kids' welfare. If you want to keep them behind and talk to them and go over things and say, hey, what's going on? Where are you? Like, do you need to talk to me about this? Because this is very serious stuff. If you have these hormones, you need to be made very much aware of what they can do to your body. And these hormones, by the way, are not a temporary thing. That's it. That is it. Your voice changes. Your body changes. That's it. That's done. You don't get that back. It's a one and done, my friend. So you need to make sure that these kids know exactly what they're getting into and exactly the decision that they're about to make. Now, if after all of that, if they're sure that that's what they want to do, I would still disagree with it. And if you disagree with it, I'd still let them know that you disagree with it heartily and that they should wait until they're 18. But if they're determined to do it, there's not much you can do, my friend. Like literally, all you've got to do is make sure that your conscience is clear. That's what I advise you to do. Is make sure your conscience is clear and you let them know exactly what is out there and what can be harmful and what can't be. And then step back and let them make their own decision. Let them be, they are kids. But at the end of the day, if the parents are the ones doing this, then fair enough, But if the parents aren't the ones doing this, now you have a leg to stand on. Go straight to the parents. Go straight to the parents and let them know that you're concerned. And say, look, because that's your job. That's your job. At the end of the day, it's your job to make sure that you're going to... Number one, they teach you to go to your first point of contact when you're sexually assaulted as a teacher. Let's say like a student touches you or takes a photograph of you or even makes an inappropriate comment about something that you're wearing or whatever. I once had to do this in Chicago and a kid made it, she's 17, and I was wearing pants, chinos, that my lovely other half at the time had gotten me, and they were quite tight, and she was able to make out, as I was walking around, and pointed it out, sort of a thing. And I had to go to my first point of contact and say, look, this wasn't appropriate. I wasn't embarrassed because, at the end of the day, she's pointing out, but I was like, yeah, I'm not embarrassed, but this is not on. I could be sacked for this. If she approached me and propositioned me and I said no, and then she got her knickers in a twist and went and told people that I touched her, that's it. And my career's over. So yeah, for stuff like that, they do tell you to go to your first point of contact, which is usually a welfare officer in the school. But if what you're saying is true, and they are not helpful like that, and they're actually supporting the kids making these very damaging decisions when they're very young, i.e. they're groomers, that is more tricky. I would go straight to the parents if that's the case. You have a, protocol be damned, right? You have a responsibility to these kids to look after them and make sure that their best interests are being served. And you need to go to their parents and make sure that they are aware of the situation and what's going on and what their child thinks. And if their child has drugs that can change their body chemistry and their parents don't know, for fuck's sake, get over there and tell them, right? Cool. That's what I would do. Make sure you have a clear conscience, and that's what I would do, alright? Now, moving on to your second point. He says, second thing, I am in a gaming group here in Canada, playing Kill Team mostly with my band of Knight-Errant Astartes, Black Shields, quote-unquote. And I'm tearing up the local league. Oh, congrats, man. I love this hobby and everything in it. I do have one problem, however. I think I am in love with one of the other players, and that player is a dude. Don't click me, please. Thank you. I am really struggling to separate my feelings and the games, like it's actually an internal struggle to be around him and not say anything. He seems very flirty, but I am just not sure. I feel like I want to tell him how I feel, but in such a small circle like the hobby, I'm afraid of torpedoing my favourite pastime. What the hell do I do? Greg. Okay, well, I can draw from experience here as well. I am naturally a very, especially with dudes, because I think it's hilarious, I'm naturally a very flirty person. If you've spoken to me on Discord, I don't care whether you're a boy or a boy, girl, whatever. You know, I don't care. I'm gonna flirt the shit out of you because I think it's hilarious, and it's just my natural personality is just how I am, right? Like my mum picked her up the other day. Like we went, I took her out for a meal, and we were at this place, and this girl comes over, the waitress, and I'm, you know, flirting with her obviously, and then she walks away, and then a guy comes over, good-looking fella, and I'm flirting with him as well. I'm not bi or anything. I'm just saying it's funny. And my mum was like, "You're just." I thought you were being really sleazy before, but turns out you're just a natural fucking flirt. That's just what you do. I was like, "Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I don't give a shit, right?" So, but it has led to situations where, you know, perhaps things are going on that I don't want going on. Like a few weeks ago, I went for a night out, and there was a guy on the night out with us, and a very nice chap, and you know, he was pretty cool, seemed pretty shy, but he was very funny, and you know, and I was very funny back, and you know, flirted with everybody who was there, you know, just had a bit of time, had a really good time, and then went, by the way, when I'm with somebody, I tone this right down. You know, I become very by the book, you know, when I'm with somebody, so it's not like I'm doing it when I'm not single. But yeah, so we end up going out as a group, and at the end of the night, he's talking to me and ends up getting quite upset. And you know, it turns out I'd kissed a girl where we'd gone out. I'd kissed somebody, and he'd gotten very upset, and I didn't realise what was going on. So when we were outside, I said to him, you know, what the hell's going on? Are you okay? Like, what's happened? Completely oblivious, and he pulls me to one side and says, look, I'm gay, and I thought that we had something going on here, like we were connecting. And I was like, well, we are, but not like that. I'm straight, like, you know what I mean? Like, he said, oh, look, I'm really sorry about that. I honestly thought that. And I said, look, mate, don't worry about it, you know. So it can lead to things happening in a social context that you're not quite aware of. So be very careful, because this guy might not be gay, you know. But at the same time, just like the advice I gave to our friend Kiwi the other day, if you don't ask, you're never going to know. So maybe just say to him, listen, man, you know, if you get alone, or if you're on Discord or something, say, hey, dude, if you're pretty sure, like, he's a stand-up dude, then say to him, hey, man, just so you know, like, are you, like, what's your deal? Are you, like, gay, or like, bi, or, you know? And if he says I'm straight, say, okay, fair enough, just asking for a friend, haha, you know, that's all you do, and you move on. Anyway, so what are you doing with the hobby, or whatever, you know? That's all you do, right? And if he comes back and says, oh, I'm bi, or I'm gay, or something, and say, okay, well, I actually quite like you, would you like to go for a drink, blah, blah, blah. That's the way to do it, you know, because it's better lancing this boil now and getting rid of it than it is just, you know, living with regret your entire life. We are in a nice stage now where it seems like this stuff is being accepted a lot more, so you are able to go out and actually meet people. That was one of the biggest shocking things about being a gay dude, like I get told from friends of mine, is that, you know, back in the day, meeting somebody was really difficult. So, you know, but apparently it's much easier now, obviously. But, so yeah, I would do that. I would just lay it out for him and say, look, you know, man, you know, what's your deal? Are you gay? Or are you, like, bi? Or are you straight? Lay it out for him. And if he says I'm bi or gay, then, you know, the door is open. Ask him out. If he says I'm straight, then say, don't push it. This is the thing with gay dudes. They do it sometimes, where if they're told no, they keep coming, and it's not cool, right? Listen, if I'm not interested, I'm not interested. Go fuck yourself. Leave me alone, right? We can still be friends, but like, don't. If I've said no once, right? If I said I'm not gay once, I'm not all of a sudden going to become gay overnight. Do you know what I mean? So don't then try the next week like I'm going to be not straight. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, just ask them the once, and if you get the answer that you want, then proceed. If you don't, then just deflect and move on, right? But at least now you know where you stand. Because I think that's the thing that's killing you right now. Especially if you're in a group that seems to be tolerable. A hell of a lot of Warhammer 40,000 groups are pretty tolerable, dude. Like, it's nowhere near as bad as people make out. It is a really cool hobby, and I've known people from all sorts of sexualities who are in the hobby. So, that's what I would do. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you like what I do, please subscribe to my Patreon if you would like to become a real subscriber. And If you would like to become a member of the channel too, that is also a really good way of supporting me. Or if you can't afford to either of those two things, simply just subscribe to the channel and give me a like. Those things really help. If you need help with anything, the Discord is down below. Please keep your hobby nightmares coming. I am 5 or 6 away from running out now, so if you want to keep them coming in. They will be read out. I'm at that really nice stage now where I'm not inundated with loads of stories. I can actually, so if you send one to me, rest assured it will be read out. Thank you very much for watching. Love you a long time. Enjoy your weekend, guys. Honestly, enjoy your weekend. Have a really good time. Love you a long time. See you soon. Have a good one.